Hi Photo One students, I've gone ahead and opened number 3 barn image. And let's talk briefly. Here is our history panel, and you can see when I open it, I can see all of the changes, and we'll look back at that in just a minute. It's a great way to go back if you want to see an earlier stage or revert back to an earlier stage. First thing we always do is Command J. And I'm also going to use Command minus and grab the corner because I like to have a little gray area, sometimes more. It depends on what I'm doing. Remember when we fixed the horizon line, we needed even more gray. So you can continue through Command minus, Command plus will make it bigger, Command minus smaller. Very helpful to know these commands. There, I'm going to go back to Command plus now. We've duplicated our background layer, and next I want to show you the gradient. And I use gradients only on places, not on people, because that gives them funny skin tone like green, but it's a really helpful adjustment for place. So I go down to my adjustment layer, remember the yin yang, and I go to gradient map. Right away, go to your layer mode and put it into overlay. By default, you get black and white, but anytime you have this downward facing arrow, that means there are nested menus. And there are all these different gradients that you can experiment with. And the thing I love about a gradient is that you're not just overlaying one color, you get this whole combination to experiment with. And one of my favorites is this violet orange because it gives you violet or purple in the shadows and orange in the highlights, and when overlaid really creates some nice effects. What I'm looking to do is create a nice red barn, and if we take this off, you can see how it's really given us that great effect. Next, I want to paint out everything except for the barn, and in a lot of ways it's easier for me if I do something called Command I. What that will do is block all of this effect, and then I can just paint it in where I want it. So remember, white allows, this is white right now so we see the effect, and Command I blocks it. Now you can see the layer mask is completely black and the effect has been blocked. If I paint with white, that'll allow it. So I'm going to paint with white at 100% and make my brush a little bigger. And I'm just going to paint, I don't want the planters, I want the barn. So I'm going to start with a big brush, and then I'm going to have to go to a smaller brush as I get closer to the edges of things. So this is a little big, I'll have to clean it up. We'll go over the door, up to this edge, up to that edge, but much faster than painting around and painting everything out. Okay, if we go back to black, now black blocks, and I can just sort of clean up some of this. I got a little bit of this picnic table and a little bit down here on the deck that I want to remove. Always start with a big brush though, you'll save so much time as opposed to going in right away with a small brush and trying to do it all. Easier to clean up a little later with your small brush. There we go. That looks pretty good. Maybe I need to come back up here and just get close enough. You can see working with black and white, you can really fine tune and get the color allowed or white where you want it. The last thing I want to do is take it off of the door frame and this little piece of wood right here. And there's a faster way than painting it out. To do that, click back on your layer 1 and then go to this top set of tools. Nested together is a quick selection tool which you might see first, and underneath that is the magic wand, and we want the magic wand tool. So click and hold if you're seeing the quick selection and select the magic wand. Now you have to go back to the layer 1 though, because we're using information from the photo. If you're on the gradient map, I'll try that and click. Oh, it's actually working. Is that ever interesting? I'm still going back to layer 1. Normally that would not work. And if I hold down Shift, which is what I'm doing as I click my selection, and I'm going to keep going, it only sees similar pixels. In the tolerance, you can affect how picky you want that to be. So will it see pixels that are sort of close, or does it only want them that are exactly the same? And right now, the default at 32, whoops, is not a super picky. So we're getting a gradient that's coming in, meaning it's going from light to dark orange. I'm also going to try and select this board here. We're going into here a little bit, which is fine because we don't want that to have color on it either. And all that doing this does is contains where our brush is going to go. I'm clicking back on the gradient map now, on the layer mask, choosing my brush, making sure it's black, make it a little bigger, and now when I paint over it, look at how cool that is. It only affects the area inside the selection. So it would take me forever to paint this out super carefully. And I can paint over here and nothing will happen because it's only active inside the dots. Now, to get rid of the dots, Command D. Voila! Perfect. Looks pretty good. And I really like that we've removed it from around the door. One little area, though, that I see that hasn't been removed, go back to the magic wand, is, I'm going to hold down Shift and try and get this. But it's kind of hard. Command D. So let's zoom in. There's the magnifying glass. And just click on that lock. Make sure we're on our layer mask. We're going to do it with the brush, but if we zoom in, it makes it so much easier. Make sure you have black selected, and we're going to block the orange from the lock so that it also looks like it's part of the door. And to back out, you could use Command minus. I like to double click the hand and then Command minus. It's just a really fast full screen command, the hand. Great, we're almost done. I really like the orange of that barn. I could go in and just use my opacity slider a little bit to sort of soften it and make it more realistic. But if I click the eyeball on enough, you can see that's really improved the red of that barn. Next, I want to show you a way to darken the roof. We've done brightness contrast before, but I want to go in and show you curves. So use the adjustment layer, and this time we're going to curves. And curves also increases contrast when you're in RGB mode, but you have so much more control. So we're going to go up slightly, that's increasing the brightness, and it's called an S-curve because you're going below the line in the darks and above the line in the highlights. Now right now that's made it too bright, but we're going to go into our blending mode and this time select multiply, and multiply is additive. You really get the roof before and the roof after added together. If we were to go to overlay, it'd be too bright. So we're going to multiply, and again, Command I. We only want the roof. So we're going to paint with white. We're going to get a bigger brush, and we're at 100% and we're painting in the effect. Just a little contrast and a little more tone in the roof. And I think that looks pretty good. Subtle if we take it off, but it just helps make the roof look, there, I can pull that down. That actually brightened it. You can play with your controls a little bit and get it just where you want it. Excellent. The next thing we're going to do, we have a lot of things to do with the barn, is create a little vignette. And we did a color vignette around our net image. Here we're going to do a darkness vignette. Again, go to your yin yang or your adjustment layer, and this time choose levels. And levels is my favorite command to make a vignette. All you do is take this right hand slider, the lights, and slide it down to darken the image. Pretty cool. Choose black because we're going to block the image. Use a brush. I like my opacity about halfway down, and I like a really big brush. And then we're just simply, notice over here on the layer mask, going to start clicking. You can click and hold or click and tap, however you like to do it. And what that'll do is, as you can see, the white is just at the outside corners, and it creates a softness, a little darkening of the edge. I'm going to click white because I want the top of the image to have a little more. So you can put it back, take it off. Now we're going, see, I'm working plus and minus just to try and get a nice amount of darkening. If I click here, very bright, now we've softened it. I want it to be very subtle though. I don't want someone to say, oh, they made a vignette. I just want it to be subtle. So now at 68%, I really like the way this looks. The last thing that you're going to do is make the door green. And I actually don't think this improves this image, but I'm showing it to you because I want you to know how to do it. When you get the image this far, if you wanted to just make the door green, go down into your adjustment layers and go to hue saturation. Remember, hue is another word for color. So we're going to slide the hue until we get a beautiful green. Next, and again, Command I. We're blocking the effect and then painting it in, guess where? Where will we paint white? Where will we allow the green to come through? On the door. And I don't have my opacity at 100, so I have to put it back at 100. And there we go. But I want to blend that in a little. Oops, I got it a little on top of the door. Again, I want you to get good at seeing those where you just go beyond the edge, and you can clean it up by going back to your black brush. There you go. So we're going to blend it, because blending, instead of having the color sit up on top of the image, will bring it in. But if we try multiply, ooh, that's way too dark. Overlay, still pretty dark. I'm going down to something called color. And color allows the color of the overlay to come through, and it doesn't change it that much. But if you switch from color to normal, normal means no blending, you'll see how this looks a little milky, a little bit sitting on top, and by just going down to color, now we have a nice blending of the green. Looks like a green barn door on a red barn. You're all done. Time to save, file, save as, and again, you want to put this on your desktop. Make sure that you save it as a JPEG. Has to be a JPEG to turn in. Save, and maximum quality, okay. Excellent, you're all done. Good luck, and when you're finished, turn it in to the number 3 turn-in. Thanks, and I'll see you at the next tutorial.